Welcome, I'm Maricilla with another episode of Scope. In the recent past, most crimes occurred in the physical environment or space. These occurrences were subjected to the criminal codes that promulgated during that period. The advancement of information and communications technology and other related communication capabilities, especially the Internet that powered the third industrial revolution, created a space that provides some people with the opportunities to engage in ICT-related crimes known as cybercrime. This segment interviews Dr. Olubenga Ige, a senior research fellow from the PNG National Research Institute. He provides highlights on the multifaceted nature of cybercrimes. The increased use of ICT by people created different new forms of criminal activities that have been a challenge for the law enforcement agencies in different countries. Unlike the traditional crimes committed that can be unraveled by crime detectives in a short period of time. The technicalities inherent in crimes committed via the Internet, that is cyberspace, and the essential nature of information and public security made the government of Papua New Guinea to announce the Cybercrime Act 2016. The Cybercrime law is the main document being used for regulating the use of the Internet in Papua New Guinea. Kapesky 2022 defines cybercrime as any criminal activity that targets or uses a computer network, or a related network device to operate. Maras 2014 says cybercrime exceeds physical or geographical boundaries and is carried out with less effort, greater ease, and at much greater speed than traditional crimes. Dr. Ige, your spotlight article is about cybercrimes.
Yeah.
Could you please define for us what cybercrimes are?
The concept of cybercrime is not far-fetched. You know, in the analog era, we used to have occurrences of crimes in the physical space, where we bring in the police, and in some nations, they bring in some other security, related organization. From the time computer evolved, computer created another world called the cyber world, or what we basically call the cyberspace. We now have two different kinds, of lives. Live in the physical space and live in the virtual space, where we use computer and other related ancillary devices to communicate with people. So cybercrime refers to, crimes committed in the virtual space, which is like an imaginary space where people communicate. So those are crimes in the physical space, but these activities are also imported, online, and they are such that are not consistent with the legal dictates of most nations of the world.
Europol 2018 states that cybercrimes can be classified into two basic strands: crime committed using computers, computer networks, or other related ICTs, and crime that targets computers using viruses to damage the computers and associated device. From email and internet fraud to theft of personal information, credit and debit card data, or financial information, to illegal gambling in the cyberspace and selling of illegal items online are all classed as cybercrimes.
In PNG, there is what we call the Cybercrime Act, which was promulgated in 2016. And it basically has four different, areas. One, there is crimes that are related, to computer or the integrity of the data. Then there is computer-related crime. There is content-related crime. Then that's policy documents categorized, the fourth section as others. Now, when you run through the policy document on cybercrime in PNG, we have different types. There is cyberbullying, there is cyber extortion, but it becomes a criminal occurrence if such a former employee will still use his or her logon credentials, to enter the intranet of that organization to transact activities that are peculiar to people that are currently employed in that organization.
For Papua New Guinea, the PNG Cybercrime Code Act 2016, there are 4 divisions of activities that constitute cybercrimes in the country. Dr. Ige emphasizes that building the capacity of the Royal PNG Constabulary Cybercrime Unit is the approach to cybercrime prevention in the country.
In different nations of the world, the approaches to preventing crimes in the cyberspace, they are different in the sense that resources that are available in the US, may not be available in Kenya. We must look at what do we have before we now think of what others can give to us as support. So the first thing to do is to build, the capacity of the personnel at the Young Cybercrime Unit of the RPNGC, that's the Royal Papua New Guinean Constabulary. So we built the capacity of the personnel in the RPNGC, Cybercrime Unit, by inviting these people either virtually or in the physical space, to train personnel that are saddled with the responsibilities of, preventing crime occurrences in the cyberspace in PNG.
The capacity of the police in the cybercrime unit needs to be strengthened to understand the universal challenges of curbing the menace of cybercrimes from the state of current cybercriminal activities reported in Australia.
How best we can bring in the Cybercrime Act, promulgated in 2016, into the curricula of different levels of schooling in PNG. We have people that are in school, and we have those ones that are out of school. So we don't wait until crimes are committed by this group and we get them prosecuted before they know that what they're actually doing in the cyberspace, constitutes crimes in PNG. So then we gather school children, ask them to engage in focus group discussions. So how best can they prevent cyberbullying in their school ecologies? Then they put that into action activities, maybe through drama, perhaps through advocacy, and a whole lot of things. Then there is another one, of course, that we did not feature in the spotlight that has to do with, United Nations Office of Drug and Crimes Education for Justice Program. So it is called E4J. Now, E4J, has developed different modules regarding cyber crimes and prevention of crimes. So we can also get that, into the school system and use it to educate school children on the dangers inherent in involving in any of the crimes listed in the PNG Cybercrime, Act. So these are basically ways, and people that are not within school, we can have pamphlets, where we do a kind of advocacy telling them the ills of cybercrimes.
Security watchdogs such as Interpol reported that PNG is situated on maritime and air crossroads between Asia and the South Pacific. The Interpol reasoned that the geographic location of the country to Australia makes it attractive to transnational organized crime gangsters. Dr. Ige's article provides insights on the strategy that can be used to address cybercrimes in PNG. The country has done well by promulgating laws for addressing incidences of cybercrimes to enable the PNG government guarantee the cyber well-being of its citizens. However, it is important for the RPNGC to understand that the current law enforcement structure, though good, but may not be able to address organized cybercrimes and large-scale internet fraud in its current form. When we come back, a voyage taken to promote traditional canoe making 3 sailors go on a sailing expedition around the island of New Guinea while being filmed for a feature-length documentary. SAILAU is the Milne Bay name for a traditional sailing canoe, and it is also the title of an upcoming feature-length documentary film. The film follows the incredible 2016 to 2017 expedition of 3 Papuan sailors and a Danish filmmaker as they undertake the world's first circumnavigation of the island of New Guinea in a SAILAU canoe named Tawali Pasana. Scheduled for release in 2023, the SAILAU film tells a story of high adventure, cultural preservation, and community collaboration with the goal of promoting tourism in Papua New Guinea and changing the international narrative of the island.
The SAILAU film trailer, released on the social media platform Facebook, showcases the world's first circumnavigation of the island of New Guinea in a traditional sailing canoe. The film features 3 Milne Bay master canoe sailors, Justin John, Sanakole John, and Job Siai, as they utilize the skills of their forefathers to undertake a daring voyage around the island of New Guinea, which comprises Papua New Guinea and Indonesian Papua. Their SAILAU, named Tawali Pasana, is the vessel that carried them on this remarkable journey. With these brave sailors was Danish filmmaker Thor Jensen, who accompanied the sailors to film the whole journey while learning the ways of the SAILAU sailor, which is a steep learning curve as depicted in the trailer. The film was directed by Thor F. Jensen and produced by Dr. Sophie Pascoe. Jensen is a Danish adventurer, speaker, filmmaker, and illustrator, and is a world record-holding explorer who has produced 2 award-winning adventure documentaries and written articles about traveling, sea kayaking, and filmmaking.
Gangen der, hvor man bare bliver rigtig bange.
The conditions have been unforgiving. The men crossing over into Indonesian waters in the middle of the monsoon season.
What inspired me to sail around the island of New Guinea was these amazing films I'd seen from the highlands, and then I've learned about these beautiful canoes that they sail with in Milne Bay, and I thought, wow, I need to experience that firsthand. But I also feel if you can put together a great adventure and pull it off, then you should also be able to share the story with other people.
This crew braved treacherous seas, pirate attacks, and crocodile-infested waters to achieve the world's first circumnavigation of New Guinea Island, the second largest island on the planet after Greenland. As Sanakole recounted their journey, he shared how they crossed into West Papua, which is under Indonesian rule, and joked about the abundance of chili in the country. While SAILAU is a story of high adventure, it is also a project aimed at changing the negative international narrative about Papua New Guinea and promoting tourism through a positive and contemporary story of the island. Back in July 2021, Jensen explained that in the Western media, PNG and Papua are often portrayed through negative stereotypes of cannibals and crime, and wanted to change this narrative and promote tourism by telling a positive story of the island through the world's first circumnavigation.
Some people think we're still in the dark ages. We're still cannibals. I mean, seriously.
That's why I'm here. I want to tell a contemporary story of the island in collaboration with 3 Papua New Guinean sailors.
I'm here to learn how to sail like you guys, yeah.
Other people here tell me that the wind is too strong for sailing.
The reason why I wanted to go on this great journey was because I wanted to learn more about the country, both Papua New Guinea, but also the other side, West Papua, which is under Indonesia. And I thought sailing around the island, that was also a way to tell the rest of the world about Papua New Guinea and maybe tell a more positive story about the island. So the problem, as I see it, is that the international media often tell negative stories about Papua New Guinea. And I thought, but there must also surely be some positive stories because there's so much knowledge and there's so many old traditions. So I thought, no, let's tell a positive story of New Guinea and promote the island to the rest of the world. And it went really well.
Jensen said it was such a great experience to be on this canoe with the 3 master sailors.
Their sailing skills and knowledge of the weather and the coast and the animals in the sea was just incredible. So in a way I felt in very good hands learning from them. And of course I'll never be as great a sailor as they are. I fell off the boat on the 2nd day actually. But they were really good and they looked after me and taught me a lot.
After the break, the journey continues. Award-winning filmmaker Thor F. Jensen captures 3 SAILAU sailors, promote the tradition of canoe sailing to also encourage other young men to embrace traditional canoe making. A sailing expedition of the traditional SAILAU is being filmed for a feature-length documentary film. Award-winning filmmaker Thor F. Jensen is experiencing the full circumnavigation of the island of New Guinea. It's a learning experience for Jensen and, importantly, sailor Sanakoli John and John Siyai. The 2 Milne Bay lads are excited about this high adventure, saying that sailing a traditional canoe is not something that young men today know a lot about. John, who runs Pasana Group, a school that teaches young people how to sail traditional canoes. He says having a canoe is necessary and cost-efficient for coastal communities. He has traveled the globe to promote the traditional sailing canoe.
Award-winning filmmaker Thor F. Jensen said that each passing day was a learning experience for him and a lot of high adventure as well, and wants to go back and travel even more. He said another reason they made it around the island was because of all the welcoming local villagers who hosted them, and the PNG corporate sponsors who recognized the importance of this voyage and that now was the time we give something back. Master Sailor Sanakoli, who started working as a tourist guide in Milne Bay upon his return, is an advisor on the documentary film. He says, "We have been sailing since we could walk. This is the knowledge of our grandfathers, and now we teach our children. We want to travel around the country showing this film in schools so they understand the importance of traditional knowledge and listen to their elders." With PNG having one of the youngest populations in the world, with 67% of the population under the age of 35, traditional knowledge and culture are at risk of disappearing.
Hello, my name is Sanakoli John. I'm a canoe sailor from North Island, Milne Bay Province, Papua New Guinea. want to talk about the important about canoes in Milne Bay province. We use sailing canoes to go out fishing, diving. In cooler trade, we use sailing canoes to go to the islands for our culture, exchanging bagi and mali, exchanging fish for yams, food for clay pots.
5 years ago, Sanakoli John was the lead sailor in the first recorded circumnavigation of New Guinea in a traditional canoe. After the epic 13-month voyage, he and his brother Justin John founded Pasana Group, a school that teaches young Papuans traditional sailing skills and practices.
Justin Sanakoli starting this canoe building school was an idea they came up with after the circumnavigation, when they saw that people had to pay a lot of money for dinghy fares, and they saw young people didn't know how to build these canoes. But so many people were interested in our canoe when we sailed around the island of New Guinea. So they really saw a need, and they saw how they could help the people. And that's what they're doing now, and it's a great success. And as it came to be, this journey meant that Justin and Sanakoli now are role models for young generations of people who want to learn their traditional knowledge and want to learn to build and sail canoes so they can support themselves. I think it's so amazing that Justin and Sanakoli came up with this idea of starting Pasana Group, Papua New Guinea's first canoe building school.
Lead sailor Sanakoli John and director Thoef Jensen promoted the film Etite Aravaka Moana, Ancestral Voyaging Vessels and Navigation in Oceania Conference, hosted by Potsdam University in Berlin in February 2023.
I do taught by my father, my uncles. I navigate with waves. I can read from waves. I can read from clouds, stars, and the sunset and sunrise. So nobody will trick me on navigations because I know all my directions that I was taught by my uncle and my father.
As a master sailor from Milne Bay, Sanakoli joined a delegation of West Pacific voyagers and canoe builders on a speaking tour to Canada, Germany, and the United Kingdom, where they spoke to scientists, politicians, and representatives from over 120 countries.
The response to Sanakoli and him traveling out, telling about his journey and his canoe building school has been overwhelming. There's so many researchers all over the world that are really interested in Papua New Guinea culture. I think it was also huge for him to see that his knowledge that he has been given by his parents and from his boo-boos and so forth, like that knowledge has a great value, and there's a huge interest for what he knows about his traditional canoe building skills and sailing skills and how to read the weather. And I think it's also something that Papua New Guinea can learn from, or at least, people should remember in general that specific knowledge to have of their traditions and how to live on the land and how to interpret the land is extremely valuable and very rare. It was amazing to see the response from the audience when Sanakoli did his speaks. There was so much interest and big applause, and he really connected with the audience.
This courageous crew of 4 had maps and GPS, but also used their senses to feel the current, hear the reef on moonless nights, and read the wind and read the coastline. They sailed huge Pacific swells through the monsoon and on the south coast navigated big tidal currents. The crew landed at their starting point in Milne Bay on October 20th, 2017. After 6,300 kilometers, 13 months and 21 days. Recalling the experience, Sanakoli said, "I have no house. The rain is my rain. The sun is my sun." These Milne Bay master sailors also speak 8 languages, and it makes sense when you see this map of their province where 58 different languages are spoken. And then they also learned a fair bit of Bahasa Indonesia while sailing for 6 months around West Papua. The speaking tour began in Vancouver, where Sanakoli John met with Milne Bay Tourism Bureau Manager Morakula Kionubu and leaders from voyaging societies from the Solomons, Fiji, Samoa, Hawaii and Micronesia. After attending the International Marine Protected Areas Congress, Kionubu traveled home and Sanakoli and the delegation continued to Berlin, Germany, as key speakers at Te Aravakamoana, Ancestral Voyaging Vessels and Navigation in Oceania, a convention hosted by Potsdam University. The delegation then went to Greenwich in the UK to present at the prestigious Royal Institute of Navigation, where Sanakoli proposed the idea of building new canoes on the Trobriand Islands to re-establish the cooler trade, a project he hopes the PNG government will support. Now that John is back home, he shares his conclusion. Meeting fellow sailors from the Pacific was inspiring. We have been traveling like one big family. The ocean is not keeping us apart. It is what connects us Pacific Islanders. A public screening is scheduled in November 2023 at the National Canoe and Kundu Festival in Alotau, Papua New Guinea. This documentary seeks to inspire young Papua New Guineans to value their traditional knowledge, and the campaign activities will be used for educational programs in schools across the Pacific.
And that ends Scope this evening. A kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent the transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water. Cough or sneeze into your elbow and exercise social distancing. If you're feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thank you for your company. Bye for now.